Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Draw Control podcast. On today's podcast, I'm joined by incoming freshman on the Duke women's lacrosse team, Ellie White. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast today, Ellie, and how's everything going?
Good. I'm so happy to be here, and I can't wait to get started.
I'm excited to have you on as well. And obviously, you recently just graduated. So, how have things been since then? And do you have any summer plans, whether it's lacrosse related or not?
I'm so excited to finally be getting on to my next stage. Because I went to the same high school since middle school. So yeah, that's really exciting. And this summer I feel like I'm just getting ready to go off to college, training, lifting. Um, and yeah, I mean I've gone to the beach, but other than that, I've been here getting ready.
That's awesome. In regards to sort of your training for the upcoming year, what are some things that you want to work on and improve on before you head off to Duke?
Yeah. Well, I actually tore my labrum in December. So right now I'm still rehabbing because I got surgery on that. So that's something that I'm working on getting back from. So like strength and just like getting, the able to shoot again and stuff like that. So, and conditioning obviously are things that I'm working on for my shoulder. But just in general, like polishing the basics and watching film when I can is just always really good. And that helps me a lot. So,
So have you done any sort of lacrosse activities, or has it mostly just been sort of recovering and trying to rehab your labrum?
well, this past season, my senior season, I couldn't play because I got surgery in February. But I have been able to do wall ball and I've begun shooting again and I'm giving a lot of lessons and stuff. So I'm still totally involved in the lacrosse world, but I just can't do contact yet.
Hmm.
Probably in another month. So yeah, I'm anxiously awaiting that time.
How are you going to try to shake off the, I guess, rust a little bit once you start finally playing sort of real practice in games?
Well, returning to like playing again is not really new for me just because this is crazy, but I have not played a single season of high school lacrosse. Every single season, well, the pandemic happened freshman year, so I couldn't play. And then sophomore, junior, and senior years, I was hurt. So I would bounce back every summer, play all club, and then I don't know, it was so unlucky. I don't know another person that that's happened to, but I feel like it's just going to be the same sort of thing. Like the mental game is kind of mostly what is most important for me to focus on, I think. So yeah, just like making sure that, I know that I've worked hard and I know that I've done everything I can to get back and get strong and focusing on the little wins is usually what gets me back. So just
That's
continue.
crazy.
Yeah.
I hope that you will have full health throughout your collegiate career. I think since you dealt with it all in high school, hopefully it's smooth sailing from here in college.
Yeah. And I think at this point, I kind of know my body really well now. I had like ankle stuff and like foot stuff and then the shoulder. So I already have like things that I do that are extra just to keep me healthy. So I think in a way, like obviously it's tough because everybody wants to be playing as much as they can. But also, I feel like I've grown mentally just from injuries and getting back, and I'm used to that. And also, like I like know what to do now when these tweaks and stuff kind of come up, and I have plans for like what to do when that happens.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I
yeah.
sort of want to transition now and sort of talk about the beginning of your career and sort of work all the way up to where you are today. So,
Yeah.
obviously you're from Baltimore, so talk about growing up there and how'd you start playing lacrosse?
Yeah, so I've been surrounded by lacrosse, I feel like my entire life. I have four cousins who are older than me that all went D1. My dad played in high school and some of his best friends played in college and my older brother played. So I don't even remember the exact moment when I began playing. I feel like I just kind of did. So yeah, and obviously Maryland is a huge lacrosse hotspot. So yeah, so I got into the sport. My dad definitely motivated me and kind of helped me get into those rec teams that you start out on when you're younger. And then it kind of snowballed from there. So
Did you like watching lacrosse growing up? And if so, who was some of your favorite players and teams that you like to watch and sort of admire?
I definitely watched a lot of lacrosse growing up. And I think the college team that I watched the most was definitely Maryland because obviously they're close. So I could drive to College Park and watch their games. And yeah, so watching them was always great. And obviously they were always a very strong team. So that was really entertaining for me to watch. And going off that, some of my favorite players when I was younger were like Taylor Cummings, Megan Whittle, Brooke Griffin, just because they were on the team that I actually got to watch firsthand. So that was really cool when I was young.
Did you get to meet them at all? Because I see that they
Oh
do
yeah.
sort of meet and greets now, which is pretty
Yeah.
cool.
And I got a poster with all their names on it. And it's actually crazy because um middle school, I was all winter, like I would do draw lessons with Taylor Cummings and would always be like practicing and stuff, doing stuff with her when I was younger. And then now Brooke Griffin is the assistant coach at Duke. And so I'm going to be playing under her. So it's kind of like a full circle type of thing.
Does she know that you were one of her favorite players growing up?
I don't know. I definitely need to let her know though. Yeah.
You got to find that old like picture of you guys too. That would be
Yeah,
very funny.
totally. Yeah. Because I'm sure I have one.
Oh yeah, that you got to find that somewhere.
Yeah.
That's definitely a funny picture. But
Yeah.
now, getting sort of back to your playing career a little bit, obviously you played for your high school at Notre Dame Prep, and then you also played for the Skywalker Blue Club team.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you, talk about your experiences with both of those teams and sort of how you got the opportunity to play for your club team.
Yeah. So for club, I tried out for Skywalkers in fourth grade. So I was definitely young. And when I tried out for them, they didn't even have a 23 team. So I made the 22 blue team and I played with them until like around middle school, I think sixth or seventh grade. And then I actually went back to my grade and I started playing with that team. And I've been a Skywalker ever since. So
What's some of the best memories you have with your club team?
there's a lot of them. I absolutely loved being a Skywalker. I experienced some of the best times on that team just because my teammates are like family to me and those girls are definitely my best friends. Um and I think that my favorite experience with that team has to be winning Lax for the Cure because that's something that all young girls when they're playing club, they want to win that tournament. And so we finally won last summer for the first time. And it was our last time playing at the tournament. And I feel like that was just so perfect. And it was so fun to win with your best friends and your team and people that you've been working so hard with. So that's got to be my favorite memory.
And also, you were also the starting center midfielder for Nation United, a minority lacrosse team that promotes diversity in the sport. And you were selected as the team's MVP at the Nation United Summit. Sorry about that. But what was it like playing for that team? And just talk about the experience, especially being named the MVP of that league.
Well, Nation United is also awesome. And I think anyone who has the opportunity to play for that team should. Just because it's such a unique experience. It's really cool to play for a team that has a purpose like bigger than myself. And obviously promoting diversity in the sport is really important. So I think that made it such a unique experience and special experience to me. And as for the MVP, I feel like you play well when you're having fun, and I'm always having fun when I'm playing with that team. So that just kind of just happened. So
How did that sort of opportunity come about to sort of be a part of that team? Did they reach out to you, or is that something that you sort of sought out?
well, it's something that you usually apply for. And two of my Skywalker's teammates were a part of the team. And they were like, "Oh my gosh, Ellie, you would love it. You should totally do this with us." So I was like, "Sure." And so I applied and then I got my application back and then I played with them for the first time in Lake Placid at that tournament. And so I've been playing with them whenever they show up to tournaments ever since.
Now, before this season, you had to deal with a lot of challenges. Obviously, we talked about the injury challenges that you dealt with, but
Yeah,
you also had to deal with challenges due to the pandemic because it happened during your freshman year. So my
right.
question is sort of how did you handle that challenge of not playing games and sort of dealing with
Yeah,
restrictions, especially during a big part of your development phase where you sort of it's important to sort of play just because it helps you get
right.
better and make mistakes as well. So I guess how'd you sort of handle that adversity and that challenge during that time, and how'd you sort of get better when you were sort of when there was a lot of uncertainty going
Right.
around in the world?
For sure. So I think with the pandemic and like the injuries that I experienced, I think something that's unique about me is maybe I didn't have the high school experience to improve my game immensely physically. Like I wasn't always playing against all these girls like in games, but I think that it improved my game in ways that other people like wouldn't have had the experience to do. Like I feel like it's made me a great teammate being able to stand on the sidelines and cheer on my friends and show up to every single practice and every single game, even though I know I'm not going to have the opportunity to play. I'm injured, but still being there and showing up really kind of taught me what it means to be a great teammate and what it means to, like still pitch into your team in different ways than just playing. And I think that was really important for me because it was obviously a completely different experience than playing on the field. So, yeah. And I think also, I already said this, but I think just like coming back mentally, like just knowing, oh, I haven't played for a really long time, but I need to get back into the sport and I'm going to have my club summer season and I need to train for that. I feel like it's definitely improved my mental toughness and it's made me confident that I can bounce back from things, um, especially challenges. And I think that that's important for any athlete. So I think I've developed in ways that are very unique to my own experiences.
And outside of sort of, I guess, being like a good teammate, because obviously that's very important, but what were some of the, I guess, on the field skills that you've improved on
Yeah.
since last year? What would you say was like the biggest improvement that you made to your game in the past year?
Yeah. So this high school season, I was actually our head coach asked me if I would be a coach. So I coached the draw for our team. And so that actually helped me with my own skills on the draw so much because I had to think of different ways to teach it. And also the some of the members on the draw squad at NDP, like we don't all take it the same way. So if they were having different challenges, I would have to think, oh, how would I handle this? Even if it wasn't the exact way that I would take the draw. So I think that actually added a lot of tools to my own toolbox. And yeah, so now I'm getting back into it and I'm recognizing little things and tweaks that I've made to the way that I take the draw that I wouldn't have thought of before if it wasn't for this season and that experience as like kind of coaching and teaching other people to draw.
Well, this is the Draw Control podcast. So, what would you say is sort of some of your strategies on the draw? We have to know it. It's
Yeah.
part of the name. So,
Oh, I know. Oh, that's so exciting. I think honestly, for me, the biggest thing is using your circle people to your advantage and being as quick as you can once you hear the whistle. I feel like for me, my biggest asset when I'm taking the draw is just the fact that I can get it out of the other girl's stick quickly and I can direct it to where I want it to go. And I think it's really important to use your circle people. Like if I'm going to catch it out of the air myself, I tell them to draw their defenders to the other side of the circle so that I can go grab it. And like communicating with them, telling them where to go, I feel like is always something that's big. And also I think something that's really important about the draw is just adjusting based on your opponent and based on the ref, because all the refs set the ball differently. So I feel like adjusting to that mid game is an important skill, and also just changing the way you're kind of doing things based on what you need to do if the other girl is taking the draw differently than you're used to. That makes sense.
Now we've talked about your club experience and some of the other teams that you played for. So how did those experiences help prepare you for college hockey with or college lacrosse with Duke?
Yeah. So I think like how all those experiences helped me prepare.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they helped me prepare just because, you're always growing whenever you're around the sport, whenever you're playing the sport. And so I think all of the time that I've spent being exposed to lacrosse and watching lacrosse has just snowballed into me becoming more experienced with the sport. So I think there isn't one specific thing that I can say. I think it's a bunch of little moments that have just that are the things that I'm going to take with me when I go play lacrosse in college. So yeah.
And for all the Duke lacrosse fans listening to this, I guess, how would you describe your game to them if they've never seen you play before?
Well, first, like we talked about, I feel like I definitely have a passion for taking the draw. Even though I'm only 5'5", I have a knack for directing the ball where I want it to go and like snagging it out of the air. So I think that's something that's unique about my game. And hopefully something that I can continue to show throughout college. But in general, as a player, I think I'm quick and scrappy, and I think I just go hard because I play with a lot of heart, just because I love the sport and I love to play. So I think it's a ton of fun.
Now, another thing that I found about your lacrosse background that I thought was interesting was you were on the Under Armour All-American Baltimore Command team. I just sort
Mhm.
of want to ask you what that experience was like and what was like being a part of that team.
Yeah, that was awesome. It's always so fun and cool to play with people that are like from different places and like on different club teams, because you grow up playing against all these girls, and so then it's so fun to actually get to play with them as your teammates. So that was such a great experience, and you always learn from the people around you, and it was a ton of fun. I loved our team. I loved the girls that were on the team, and I'm still friendly with all of them. So it was a great experience.
Now, I do want to ask you about your recruiting process because obviously you're going to be heading off to Duke
Yeah.
very soon. So I guess talk about your recruiting process to Duke and what made you want to go there versus other schools you might have looked at.
Yeah. I think Duke is super special because not only is the lacrosse team a really special team and they're very competitive, but also the academics are incredible. So I think the combination of lacrosse and also academics at Duke just made it a school that was really drawing me in, because that was something that I had been looking for throughout my recruiting process. And also, I think I had visited Duke like two or 3 years before my recruiting process even began with my club team, just because like we went down there and we had a scrimmage and we toured the campus. And I remember going to Duke then and being like, this is the school that I want to go to. So I think that when it was all working out and I got an offer, it was just kind of a no-brainer.
Have you had the chance to watch any Duke lacrosse games since you committed? And have you had the chance to meet any of your future teammates as well? And what's that been like?
Yes, definitely. I've been watching them all spring and last spring, and honestly before I even committed. But yeah, the team, I've met them just when I've been down there and on my official, and they're so nice. Everybody is incredibly welcoming, and they're also competitive and like great athletes. So I think that it's going to be a really great place, and they all seem like a really great team. And the commits too in my class, the incoming freshmen, were already so close, and I love all of them.
That's good. That's good. Obviously, building that culture helps because I
Right,
feel like when you don't have a good culture, it's hard to win games because you sort of don't understand what your teammates' sort of tendencies are. And
right.
you sort of need to understand, I guess, how important it is to sort of be friends with your teammates because I feel like it's sometimes that off the field stuff can sort of translate on the field if it's not
Oh,
like good.
100%. Yeah.
Now, I do want to ask you this as well because you're playing in the ACC, and from your
Yeah.
perspective, what makes the ACC different from other conferences in college lacrosse? I think it's one of the best. You're playing against BC, North Carolina, Virginia, Notre Dame on a weekly basis. So, just talk about how excited you are for that.
Oh, I think that's going to be such a great experience. I think that that's one of the things that makes the ACC so special is just that it's packed with all of these competitive teams. And I think that it makes playing in that conference very unique. So I am so lucky and fortunate that that's the conference that I get to be a part of. And it's very exciting for me.
What do you think is going to be the biggest adjustment you have to make to college lacrosse?
I think it's just a given that it's just going to be different. Like it's going to be a different team, it's going to be a different schedule. The academics are going to be hard. So I think the biggest adjustment that I'll probably have to make is just like getting used to the flow of things and getting used to the team, getting used to my coaches, meeting everybody. Just like all freshmen are probably thinking those typical things that the freshmen are usually thinking going into, college lacrosse.
And what are you most excited about when you think about coming to Duke in the fall? Is it sort of just playing in the ACC, playing against some players that you might have loved watching throughout your high school career? Like, what sort of
Right.
excites you the most when you think about college lacrosse?
First and foremost, I'm so excited to finally play again because it's been a long recovery. And so that's kind of a given. But also, like you said, I think that will be so fun to play with and against the players that I've grown up watching and have been watching throughout high school. And also, I'm so excited to interact and get to know my new team just because they already seem like a great group of girls. I've met them, I've hung out with them a couple times. So I think that's something that I'm really looking forward to. And finally, I'm just really excited to practice and play at the next level because I think that's something that I've been looking forward to for a really long time and something that you're kind of preparing for like throughout club and throughout high school. So it'll be great to actually be able to step into that and embrace the challenge.
What are some of your individual and team goals for next season?
I think individually and honestly for the team too, I think it's always to try to get a little bit better than yesterday. Um, just because there's always things that you can improve and work on, and it takes time to change those, but it's important to recognize them and keep chipping away and making yourself as best as you can. And I think that's a challenge, but it's also really fun to get better. So yeah. And then also, I think the challenges and the expectations and stuff for the team, I feel like every team is different. Like every season, it's a different team because you have people graduating and you have, incoming freshmen. So I feel like it kind of just like the challenges come along with the season and like you figure out what you need to adjust like as you're down there, like every other team. And I feel like that also goes for a player too. Like every season, I feel like you kind of can pick something that you want to work on because you're always growing.
So we're now in a segment I like to call the non-lacrosse segment, where I ask you some
Yeah.
non-lacrosse questions just to get to know you a little bit more off the field.
Yeah.
So my first one is, what music do you like to listen to?
I feel like I like to listen to a little bit of everything. I feel like I have a playlist for like everything, lifting, running, like driving to school, summer. So yeah, I feel like I definitely have a broad music taste, but lately I've been listening to a lot of Taylor Swift because I went to her concert. So yeah, that's right now.
How was her concert? It looks like a lot of fun from what
It
I've
was
seen.
it was insane. I had the best time.
That's awesome. What era would you say that is your favorite or that you would be in?
I think I feel like my favorite era is probably Reputation. I think that's a lot of people's favorite, but I think the music from that album is just so cool. But I
Yeah,
also love Folklore. Even though those
yeah.
two are like complete opposites, I love them both.
This might be a typical answer, but I feel like I'm a 1989 type of guy. I really like a lot of those
Yeah.
songs. I think Style might be one of my favorite pop songs ever made.
Really?
Yeah, it's up there for sure.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Same. I feel the same way.
I can't wait for the Taylor's version to come out for that. I'm looking
Yeah.
and she needs to drop it soon.
I know. And Speak Now. I can't wait.
Yeah, that's coming out, I think, in 2 weeks too. So
Yeah.
that should be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I'm sort of similar with you with my music taste. I listen to everything. I have a playlist for every genre of music. So whatever mood I'm
Yeah.
into, I just go to that playlist. So I
Right.
totally get you on that.
Yeah.
Now, this one question I can't answer, but you can. What is your most embarrassing lacrosse moment? Did you ever get your ankles broken, or was there something else that happened? Like, what's sort of something that you look back on? You're like, ah,
I think, I don't know, whenever like I'm going to catch the ball, but the sun is like blinding me, and then you just like totally can't see it. I think that'll always get me because it's just like nobody knows that that's why you can't see the ball, but you know that you can't
yeah,
see the ball. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. That's for sure. And obviously when those pictures come out, whenever there's photographers there, it's
oh yeah.
that's a tough look. So I
Yeah.
get where you're coming from on that. Now, speaking of some of your teammates that you got to play with, who was the funniest on the Skywalker Blue team that you were on?
I think it's got to be our goalie, Julia Soriano. She's just like typical loud, like funny comments on everything type of person. And she like really amps up our energy and her jokes are great. And yeah, we just love to be around her. So she's
Who had
got to be
the who had the best style on the team? Outside of yourself, obviously.
the the best style, I think probably, and she's also going to Duke too. It's got to be Reagan Digby. She has like a whole style account on TikTok. So yeah, she definitely has good style and great taste in clothes.
If you could have lunch with anyone in the world, who would it be and why?
I think, I mean, athlete wise, I think probably Michael Jordan, just because I watched The Last Dance and that was really inspiring. And I think he's just like an incredible athlete and so motivating. So I feel like I could learn a lot from him. But I mean, going back to our previous conversation, I feel like in general, it would be great to have lunch with Taylor Swift.
Oh
So
yeah, that would be
yeah.
fun. That's crazy coming from a Duke university student that you would want to eat with Michael Jordan because he's a UNC guy, and I know that's a big rivalry.
Yeah. I feel like the greats are the greats. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you
So,
got to respect it. You got to respect it.
yep.
I think my favorite part of that documentary was sort of I forgot which episode it was, but it was sort of
Yeah.
the one where he's just like I would never ask my teammates to do something that I wouldn't do myself. And it was
Right.
like showing the montage of like them running across and winning those championships and how hard he pushed his teammates. And it
Right.
just showed you like sort of how you have to put in that extra mile in order to be that successful. And I feel like everyone says they do that, but it's really hard to actually do that. And that was sort of the biggest thing that I took away from that documentary was sort of how hard you have to work to do that and be that successful.
Yeah, totally.
For me, it'll be Tom Brady, similar sort of thing. Great
I
athlete,
was
won
thinking,
six.
I was thinking about that. I was thinking about that.
I'm a big Pats fan too, so I'll definitely
Yeah.
love to talk to him about all that success that he had. And then final non-lacrosse question is, what's the most interesting thing you've read or seen this week?
I think, okay, my brother told me this, but so I don't know how accurate that's going to be, but he said that hot water freezes faster than cold water. And I didn't know that. And he told me that a couple of days ago.
That's
Have you
pretty
ever heard of that?
interesting. No, I'm not a science guy, so I can't
Yeah.
say if I've heard of
Yeah.
that, but definitely interesting for sure.
Yeah.
I think for me, honestly, probably that whole submarine thing. I know that's very
Yeah.
basic, but I'm very fascinated by like why people would want to go see the Titanic when you can see
Right.
it on YouTube already and don't have to risk your life. So
Yeah.
that was probably the most interesting thing, but obviously very sad situation what took place.
Right. Yeah.
So getting back to some lacrosse questions now, for all the younger players that are listening to this episode, what advice would you give them on what it takes to be a college lacrosse player like yourself?
I think I would just say the biggest thing to remember is that progress isn't going to be linear. The way you're performing is going to have peaks and valleys, and I think that's just a part of playing the game. So I think this may sound cliche, but that's why believing in your abilities is so important, and it's something that I've specifically had to do just because of my history with being injured. And I think believing in yourself is going to get you through the tough moments, and it's definitely going to amplify the good ones.
What should be done to help grow women's lacrosse from your perspective?
I think it's already come a long way. Obviously, it's still has a long way to go, but I think continuing to expose people to the sport is really important, whether that's like broadcasting lacrosse, women's lacrosse more, or, putting it, making it more accessible on TV. And then also, I think it's important to get more areas of the country involved in the sport. I know that lacrosse is growing more on the West Coast, and that's kind of a new thing. So I feel like it's really important to keep that going just so that it's more of a national sport. I know right now it's like definitely along the East Coast. So I feel like it would be really cool to see it grow in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, before we end this interview, Ellie, do you have any shout outs you want to give to your teammates, family members, friends, and who should we have on the podcast next?
I think that I would definitely love to shout out my parents just because I feel like without them, I wouldn't have had the opportunities to like play for the club teams that I want. And I know that they've made a lot of sacrifices to help me get to this point. Especially my dad has been so motivating and just really awesome in helping me grow as an athlete. So I also think I would love to shout out my coaches because they've obviously developed me as an athlete and really helped instill the love of the sport for me. And yes, and then also my teammates, my Skywalker's team will always have a place in my heart. Those are my best friends, and they just have made the sport so fun for me. And I was always excited to show up to practices, tournaments, hang out with them on the side just because of how great my teammates were. So, yeah. And then as for who's on the podcast next, considering, like we mentioned, this is the Draw Control podcast, I think it would be cool to have like Taylor Cummings on the podcast just because she is like the queen of the draw.
We'll love to have her on one day. I know she's very popular, so we need to grow a
Yeah.
little bit. I'm going to try my best to do that, though, for sure. But we'll definitely reach out and see what happens. But
Yeah, totally.
Ellie, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on. It means a lot to myself, and I wish you nothing but the best next season with Duke and for your first year in college. And it's going to be super exciting to see you play. Great player, great person, and thank you for doing this. It means a lot to me.
Thank you so much. It was so great to be on.